The playoffs mean a ton. They obviously mean a ton to the Texans. They mean a lot to C.J. Stroud and the assessment of him as the future and the franchise quarterback of this organization. We'll talk about that. Plus, an interesting name just became available if something bad happens to the Houston Texans in the playoffs. How the Pittsburgh Steelers even could go about winning this football game, or really how they go about losing it in big time fashion, and oh so much more. Your comments, questions, joys, and concerns. Welcome into the channel. I'm Cody Stoots. Let's talk some Texans. The caffeine today, good old fashioned Dr. Pepper, zero sugar. Cheers to you. I hope the new year has started in a fantastic fashion for you. And I hope that the boss man or boss lady or boss person, as you've gotten back to work, has not been too overbearing this week. 2 weeks of just kind of blah, and then you kind of figure it out. C.J. Stroud heading into these playoffs. I feel pretty good about where C.J. Stroud is right now. And I've thought to myself a couple of different times as the playoffs have approached, and I thought, what do these playoffs mean to C.J. Stroud? How much weight do you put into the one game, the two game, the 3 games, the 4 games that the Texans potentially can play in the playoffs when you think about C.J. Stroud long term, when you think about C.J. Stroud as the franchise quarterback for this team and a highly paid franchise quarterback for this team? And I've kind of wavered back and forth. The easy hope and the easy answer is, well, if he just goes and he's Joe Flacco for 4 games and you win the Super Bowl, cool. Pay him whatever the hell he's worth. And it might be more than what Dak Prescott makes. That's fine. You win the Super Bowl and he goes bananas in the next 4 games. That's the easy solution. That's just a highly unlikely situation. Though if it occurs, open the checkbook, you'll be happy to pay the money for what C.J. Stroud will command if he goes Joe Flacco, if he goes Eli Manning, if he goes Nick Foles, where Foles was really good in that playoff run. I don't know, statistically he was as good as some of those other guys, but just if he goes crazy and showcases 4 consecutive games of awesome football, then it's easy. It's an easy decision. You got to figure it out. Again, that's a highly unlikely situation to occur. But how much weight do you put on this playoff run for C.J. Stroud? For me, it checks into a lot of what have you done for me lately? What have you done for me lately? Because if Stroud goes in there, he plays a really good game and the defense gives it up, okay, don't hold that against C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud in a bubble, what he's in control of, how he operates, he does good and somebody else kind of falls apart on the offense or the offensive coordinator has a bad game, okay, that's not too critical and too much on C.J. Stroud. But these games that he's going to play in the playoffs, and hopefully it's more than one, these games for C.J. Stroud are extremely important and weighted heavily towards the evaluation of C.J. Stroud, especially in the way that I look at him. You weigh these games heavily for C.J. Stroud. It is a playoff run. It's the best defense this team has ever had. It's the best opportunity this team has ever had to make a deep run in the playoffs. When you think about no big bad Baltimore Ravens, no big bad Kansas City Chiefs, you expect a lot out of this team. And by proxy, you expect a lot out of the quarterback. I have high expectations for Stroud as he gets into this playoff run. If he has a bad game, I believe the Texans will go home in that game. So he cannot have a bad game. And I know that's an easy thing to say, hey, you can't have a bad game and you win. He's had some bad games and they have won. And the defense is taking care of business, and the offense has been able to gimmick it together and figure it out. But in the playoffs, I feel like it goes to another level where if C.J. Stroud has a bad game, where he has issues with the pressure that is showing up, that the other team is sending his way, if he has issues with his accuracy, where he's high, or he makes some mistakes, like an interception against the Chargers, 2 interceptions against the Chargers, actually. If those pop up, if that happens to C.J. Stroud, I believe they're going to go home in that game. Now, he doesn't have to be amazing every time out there for them to win football games. He just has to be quite good each time. And depending on the opponent, if it's Jacksonville, if it's Buffalo, if it's Denver, if it's New England, he may need to be very good for them to win that football game, especially if you're going to go toe-to-toe. But you've got to weigh these playoff games a little bit more than any of the other really good games that C.J. Stroud has played. I ask you this, What's the best game CJ Stroud has ever played? What's the best game CJ Stroud has ever played? Because it's probably, to most people, and without a really close second, it's Tampa in 2023. He threw for nearly 500 yards. He threw for 5 touchdowns, and he had an incredible game-winning drive down the field where he tanked down the sideline, tanked down the end zone, game over, Texans win. 470 yards, 70% completion percentage, 5 touchdowns, game-winning drive. It doesn't get much better than that. That was over 2 years ago. That was over 2 years ago for CJ Stroud. So what's his best game in his career? Well, it was 2 years ago. Okay, well, how many of his best games have occurred since then? Well, Baltimore this year was pretty excellent. Who's the opponent? What type of opponent are you going against? Like, again, the weight of these things should be adjusted and changed and analyzed to determine exactly how much it matters. Yeah, he beat up on the pitiful Baltimore Ravens and threw for 4 touchdowns and an 85% completion percentage. Yeah, that's good. That's really good. It's one of the best games he's played. How many of his other best games have happened in 2025 in this past season? Because there haven't been that many. You look through the games and the early starts, nothing super impressive about Stroud, and a couple of interceptions against Jacksonville. One of them not really his fault. Yeah, they beat Tennessee, but it took them a while to get going. We mentioned Baltimore. Seattle was awful. He was terrible in the Seattle game. He looked lost. The offense looked lost. The offensive line looked lost. He was bad. He bounced back in great fashion against a team that ultimately made the playoffs, but the 49ers defense is nothing to sneeze at. Or excuse me, is nothing to get excited about. That's a bad defense. He did a really good job against a bad defense. We don't know what Denver would have been, and he came back from the concussion, and he had some nice moments against Indy and Kansas City and Arizona, and then there was some against Vegas and LA, and he was good against the Colts for as long as he played. It's like assessing where he is difficult because 2023 existed. He showed it. He showcased it. He's capable of that. There were some incredible 2023 moments. Tampa's being the best. He was good in Cincinnati, the interception notwithstanding, the late risky throw notwithstanding. He was really good in various points of 2023. Last year in 2024 against the Indianapolis Colts at home, he put on the cape and was incredible in that game. There's only a handful of quarterbacks that could even come close to handling what CJ Stroud had to handle that day. And he did it. I feel like Indianapolis, out of the concussion protocol, he played really well against the Colts this year. I know the box score looked horrible against Kansas City, but he made some awesome plays against Kansas City. And that's why I feel like it is a very tough case to analyze in looking at CJ Stroud, because there are games where the box score is pathetic. It doesn't look good. And if you were a box score bozo, you'd think, oh, that guy's not very good. But there's not very many guys that could have won the Kansas City game. I know they didn't put up a ton of points. I know that he didn't have statistically a great game, but the extension of plays, the way he found Nico Collins for some of those plays, just the guttiness that he showcased in that matchup, dealing with the third quarter and not having it carry over to the fourth quarter when they finally got the football back. There's a lot to like about some of the performances that box score wise don't look good for CJ Stroud, but he played really well and had some unique performances within those games. That's why it's so hard to just say, oh, well, it's this many passing yards, or it's this many touchdowns, or it's this completion percentage, because you've got to watch each and every week and you got to see, okay, well, it's Vegas. He was kind of missing a couple of guys. He made some quick decisions that maybe he didn't need to make. Same thing with the Chargers game. He had that hot start, and then it was kind of blah after that. He's missing guys, and he's making some quick decisions behind the sticks, and it's not really going well. And he hadn't used his legs much since the concussion. So just analyzing all of that and then thinking about this playoff run, this Pittsburgh game, you put a lot of stock in it. It weighs heavy. Go into Pittsburgh against a pretty decent defense. It's not a great defense. It's not a bad defense. It's a pretty good defense. They turn the ball over just about as well as the Texans turn the ball over on defense. So it's a pretty good defense. Go in there, settle things down, keep them settled down. It's going to be a tough environment. The terrible towels will be waving. They'll be playing Renegade. All those drunk Midwestern, I guess Pittsburgh's not really Midwestern. All those drunk blue-collar people in Pittsburgh going to be there, having been drinking since 5 in the morning. Going to be loud. It's going to be a tough environment. Settle things down. Keep them settled down. Move the football. Put points on the board. Give that defense an easy day. Take care of their business. Do that, and then let's see who the next opponent is and see what's required out of C.J. Stroud. But my big thing is if he goes into the playoffs and he has a bad game, something closer to the Raiders game, something closer to the Seattle Seahawks game, where he didn't look good for 4 quarters or 3 quarters. And yeah, you can live with a mistake here or there, but if he has a really bad game against the Steelers, that would weigh heavily on me in assessing the future of C.J. Stroud as the quarterback, assessing the contract that C.J. Stroud may ask for in the offseason. And, it would weigh into assessing some of the other things on offense. Can you get it done with this player, this guy, this coach, this offensive coordinator? It all matters in the assessment, but it starts at the quarterback spot. 7, as I put him at number 1 of my most important Texans, 7 is very important to this team. Bad game, they go home. Good game, they probably have a chance to win. If C.J. Stroud has a run of great games, they probably win the Super Bowl. And we're not even worried about the conversation. They win the Super Bowl, pay him. I don't give a damn. Hoist the Lombardi, give him all the money you want. Okay? Give him all the money you want. Hoist the Lombardi, pay him. I don't care. Okay? Because you're not hoisting a Lombardi without him playing really well at different points. He doesn't have to have 4 amazing games in a row, but he has to have good games. He has to have good games if they're going to hoist the Lombardi. And he can't have a bad game or they're going to go home. The playoffs, it ratchets up. It dials up to a whole nother level. C.J. Stroud, bad game, Texans go home. C.J. Stroud, good game, Texans go on. C.J. Stroud, great game, playing the parade. Well, great game 4 times, playing the parade. But you get the gist. How much do you weigh one individual game versus the whole body of work of the quarterback? I think it matters a little bit more than some of the other ones, and certainly matters more than anything that occurred in 2023 or in the early parts of 2024. You really got to look at the last 18 or so games for C.J. Stroud to really hone in and dial in on exactly what you believe in him and what you believe he is capable of doing in the future. We get to your comments, your questions, your joys, and your concerns in a moment, right after I tell you about my friends at Sleeper. Sleeper is daily fantasy, and it's still here with the playoffs. You can play Sleeper Daily Fantasy. Get signed up today. The promo code STOOTS, STOOTS. Use the link in the description down below. Use the promo code STOOTS, STOOTS. You're going to get a free $20, no deposit required entry, and you're going to get a deposit match up to $100. We'll put a Sleeper entry together before the Monday Night Football game and the playoffs continue for the Texans game. But get signed up today. Use the code STOOTS, STOOTS. Terms and conditions do apply. We just get that free $20 entry, deposit match up to $100. Use the code STOOTS, STOOTS, when you get signed up with my friends at Sleeper. Check them out in the link in the description down below. Super chats or member chats jump to the front of the line, and we'll get to your comments, questions, joys, and concerns. Avenue Central, Mike McDaniel was fired. Bring him to H-Town. We will talk about that here in just a few. Appreciate you, Avenue. JB Allen, the Annihilator, a member for 10 months on this channel. The Pitt fans are so assured they're winning Monday, but now I'm starting to get nervous. Monday night, 27 degrees, Pitt front 7, vintage Rodgers. Look, it's not a bad football team they're going against, but it's really not that good of a football team, okay? They're not bad, but it's not a good football team. I can understand the nerves. You should be nervous for a little bit of a playoff football. But let's see what the folks have to say in the comments, questions, joys, and concerns. And Mike McDaniel fired, Cody. If you could, would you rather have him or Stefanski as the OC next year? Probably lean Stefanski, but McDaniel wouldn't be bad. Again, we'll talk about the OC situation here in a minute. My hindsight take, the offense is what gets us knocked out of the playoffs yet again. It's time to look at experienced offensive coordinators. Certainly understand that, Texans fan. DeRino, good to see you. JB Bubblehead, good to see you. That Real Texans Team podcast. Does British Brooks get some running back reps after the Week 18 performance? Probably not. You should have Woody Marks and Jawar Jordan for the whole game, so you probably won't go to British Brooks. Pawn Shop, good to see you. Philip, good to see you. Rob Dog, good to see you. Good morning. Just picked up some Sticky icky for Monday's game. We win, we booze, we lose, we booze. Yeah, it's a good way to put it. Good way to put it. Ashton, finally catching the stream live again. How's it going? Also fitting was it for the Texans to end the season with a defensive touchdown and by our boy Tommy Togiai. Exactly, that defense putting a wrap on the regular season. Maybe they start the postseason off with a defensive one. Brian says this game means a lot for CJ Stroud. Sophia says tacos, taking care of youngest, laundry, and Cody Stoots football talk. Perfect morning. Sophia, appreciate you for checking in on this one and indoctrinating the youngster into the early stages of football conversation. Worried about the rookie wide receivers versus the vet secondary of Pittsburgh? Nah. Jalen Ramsey played so terrible the other night. He disgusted me the way he played the other night. I'm not super worried about Pittsburgh's secondary. JB Allen, good morning, Houston football family. Cheese and rice. A great day to be a fan of our Houston Texans. Certainly is. Rick, good to see you. Looking like I lost my bet to Landry about Mike McDaniel. Did you bet he was going to keep his job? Yeah. Had reports he's going to keep his job, but Patrick Slowick takes down another one. Come on, Bobby Slowick didn't get Mike McDaniel fired. Good morning to you, Patrick. Good morning to you. Super Chats jumped to the front of the line. Bearcat, sign Njoku, draft Kenyon Sadiq. I want a running back or tight end first. Casey will probably get Jeremiah Love. Thanks as always for the show. Bearcat, we're talking about free agency and the draft 5 days before they play the Pittsburgh Steelers in the playoffs. What's going on here, Bearcat? I do like Kenyon Sadiq. I don't believe they're going to get a shot at him, but I like Kenyon Sadiq. I don't believe there's going to be another running back worth drafted in the first round, so you'll get a defensive tackle and you'll like it. Get a defensive tackle and you'll like it. When you make Mills look competitive with Stroud, your system is a round hole to the player's square peg. Yeah, it's another thing for CJ is may not be the exact offense that maximizes him. So that's interesting to note as well. Poncelios, yo, you guys good? Can't wait for Monday. Tazewell, good to see you. Thirsty Texan, I'm kind of rooting for the Texans to lose so they can fire Nick Caley and have a chance at good offensive minds, but I also think this year might be the easiest playoff grid. Yeah, that's sort of the give and take of this, isn't it? There's something that you may want to change if you don't win that first game, but even if you don't like Nick Caley, you'd rather them go on a run because you have a chance to win a Super Bowl this year. No Kansas City, no Baltimore, and there's really no big bad in the AFC this year. I mean, you could play Denver close with Davis Mills coming in off the bench. Why couldn't you beat them with CJ Stroud for a full game? New England has proven nothing. You could beat them. Jacksonville, you've already beat them once. You could beat them again. Yeah, Yenzers is the word. Yeah, Yenzers. John Harbaugh getting a tan. Morning. Hopefully this is just getting started. All is well, y'all. And that's the thing that's kind of the hope is you hope everything's just kind of getting going here. You play this first playoff game, you get past the Steelers, see what happens with those first 5 games of playoff weekend and just kind of go from there. You could very well be, you're not going to be the favorite at the end of the first round because you're going to have to go on the road still and all that, but you could be very much a trendy pick for a Super Bowl championship at the end of this first round. Very much so. Noah says the defense alone should be able to win this game. He doesn't even care about how CJ plays. Sid says, I need Cody to run in the streets with his underwear if we win the Super Bowl. I already promised a 24-hour stream if they win the Super Bowl, which will be a joyous occasion. But I guess somebody noted the other day, if they make the conference championship, I have to go run a mile. I don't remember making that bet, but I guess I did. If we still had Joe Mixon, we would be dangerous. Certainly. Certainly. Where's the line to pay him? Feels like only Super Bowl, but AFC Championship could get it done. Appearance in the Super Bowl, I don't believe you're making any sort of changes, and you're probably paying C.J. Stroud in the offseason. 1 or 2 games stay in the playoffs, you're probably having a big conversation about where the offense is going. Is this the right coordinator? Is this the right quarterback long term? And you're probably not making that big commitment. But if you get to the AFC Championship game, play well, they lose, or certainly if you get to the Super Bowl, I would think that the pay you start paying, or you start thinking about paying C.J. Stroud this offseason. Because to me, I wouldn't pay him right now. But 4 good playoff games and a Super Bowl, it easily flips the switch. 3 good playoff games, you lose the AFC Championship, you might still pay him. You might still play him. There's the Texans. That's why I'm conflicted. I know this year would be the easiest, but also looking forward, I don't want to end up with a trash OC, possibly end up overpaying CJ. You don't want to get stuck. You don't want to get stuck. That's certainly a worthwhile fear. In my opinion, having Stroud and making him play in the Caley offense is like buying a Corvette and driving under the speed limit. That's a good way to put that from Mike's book reviews. Mike, it's a good way to put that. I don't know that this offense is the right for CJ. I don't know if this is the right one for CJ. And with it not being maybe the right one for CJ, does that add to your willingness to change and try to figure it out and then pay CJ? Or do you pay CJ and then try to figure it out around him? I would say if it feels like this is the wrong offense, you can make a change, regardless of the results. Couple of wins, couple of losses, so on and so forth. Hey, good to see you, engineer. Made it to the stream, getting consistent as the Texans offense. That's funny. That's funny. Speaking of consistency, I want you to be consistent with your health. Hey, 2026, we're all taking our health a little bit more serious, okay? I know I am. All right, the diet started Monday, working on that, trying to lose a few lbs, and getting things together with my friends at the Y Factor. Y Factor are men's urological experts, okay? Anything and everything that goes on down there, they can handle with you, okay? From making sure your testosterone levels are at the right spot, to blood work to make sure that your cholesterol is not too high, to making sure that you are maximizing your part of natural conception, to making sure that you're 100% and ready to rock when it goes to that type of time in the bedroom, to making sure you don't have the kiddos anymore because you have the non-scalpel vasectomy right there on site with my friends at the Y Factor. They do everything from family planning to hormone optimization to just, hey, I don't think everything's working down there, Doc. What's going on? They can help you out. The Y Factor wants to take care of men's health. And, hey, we need to all be around a very long time to see all these championships the Texans are eventually going to win. Stick around for a lot longer by taking care of your health, my friends, at the Y Factor. It's theyfactor.com. They've got that location right over there off of I-10 at Campbell. Huge parking lot. It's not in a hospital. It's not in a giant medical facility. So when you go there, easy to park, easy to get in. Call them up, give them your insurance, see what insurance will cover. They'll take your insurance on some of these things as well. And because it's not a hospital, the insurance companies are more likely to help you out with that. Visit my friends at the Y Factor. When you visit with them and you're taking your health seriously, tell them Cody Stoots sent you. Theyfactor.com, theyfactor.com. Appreciate the Y Factor for helping us get right here in 2026. So, talked a little bit about C.J. Stroud. I feel like one of the big news items that has a ramification for the Texans is this. The Miami Dolphins fired Mike McDaniel. He was their head coach. They made the decision to move on from him after a few days. And they're trying to find a general manager. I wonder if some of the general managers didn't want to roll with McDaniel, didn't want to have McDaniel be the head coach for them. So Mike McDaniel gets fired in Miami. Obviously, the immediate connection is the Houston Texans and Mike McDaniel, despite the fact the Texans are in the playoffs and it looks like there's a chance for a long playoff run Nick Caley is still not been a guy that has solidified his spot as offensive coordinator to the point where you're like, yep, got to keep that guy in most people's eyes. So McDaniel, having coached with DeMeco Ryans in San Francisco, and contrary to some of the candidates that have previously coached C.J. Stroud, having a lot of experience building offenses, calling plays, organizing the totality of a team, which should help in organizing just the offense, Mike McDaniel seems like a natural wandering eye for the offensive coordinator spot. I also feel like with McDaniel, he could easily take a year off. He could easily take a year off and be the top offensive coordinator candidate a year from now. He's still one of the top candidates right now for the ways that he's been able to operate the offense previously in Miami with some good football players, certainly, but not the best quarterback in the world, not the best offensive line in the world. Now, they had some issues in Miami, but he still was able to find ways to get Devon Achane the football. Injuries kind of hurt them a bunch, and then Tua Tagovailoa was just not very good, not very consistent, and probably couldn't run the offense the way that McDaniel wanted to run the offense. He's going to have suitors right now before the Texans even think about Nick Caley's job status. The Washington Commanders should call him and try to get him to be the offensive coordinator right away. Mike McDaniel, previously coached there with Jaden Daniels. That could be a match made in heaven from an offensive standpoint. He previously worked for Dan Quinn as well. So with that, the Commanders are a great landing spot. The problem with the Commanders' job is if Dan Quinn's not any good next year, everybody's getting fired, including Mike McDaniel. I'd say the same thing about Tampa. Tampa's a fantastic opportunity. Go in there, you go be the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, coach up Baker Mayfield, coach up all that talent they have at wide receiver. They got a really good offensive line. They got some running backs. But if Todd Bowles is bad next year, you're getting fired with the entire staff. Everybody's getting run out of there. Okay. So those are two tough spots to kind of say, hey, Mike McDaniel should take those jobs. Mike McDaniel should go get that job. So I do feel like he's the type of guy that would sit and wait a year and just hang out. He's not going to make a quick decision. To me, it feels like that just doesn't scream McDaniel. And I have to imagine he's looking at it from a situation where if I go and take this job, can I and will I ultimately end up being a head coach again? How quickly can I take this new job, turn it into a head coaching job? The Texans, obviously, if he was really good next year as the Texans OC, he'd be a head coach again right away. But then again, you're DeMeco Ryans. You had Bobby Slowick last year. You have Nick Caley this year. Let's pretend you have Mike McDaniel next year. And then McDaniel leaves for a head coach job. Then it's a brand new coach again. A brand new offensive coordinator again. So it's 4 OCs in 4 years. Now, that'd be a great situation because if McDaniel is good enough to go get a head coach job, then that means your offense is pretty awesome. It means you were a pretty damn good offense. So that's probably a positive, even though there's a small negative associated with it. And let's talk about Caley. I mean, it does not feel to me like they are ready to fire Nick Caley. It does not feel to me like Nick Caley has done a bad enough job to warrant, yes, he's out no matter the result. Now, you go to Pittsburgh Monday night, the offense flutters, stumbles, and then DeMeco Ryans has a conversation with C.J. Stroud. Hey, did Caley hold us back? Could we do more if we had a different offense? C.J. Stroud says, yeah, sure. Then boom, you move on from Nick Caley and you go hire a new offensive coordinator, McDaniel or somebody else. But it is a very intriguing situation because DeMeco Ryans has spoken very fondly about that style of offense. I remember when we had the Seattle Seahawks game, the Clint Kubiak style of offense, obviously in that same tree from that Shanahan-Kubiak tree. So that's what Clint Kubiak runs. And he spoke very highly of it. Obviously, he liked it because that's what he ran when he had Bobby Slowick over here. So we know DeMeco Ryans likes that style of offense. Nick Caley runs a different style of offense. Now, as J.B. Allen, the Annihilator, brings up a good point, wouldn't you need to change your offensive line to accommodate Mike McDaniel? Teosri Ingram, I believe, wouldn't be a fit in McDaniel's offense. So, yes, you would have some changes that you would need to make. I feel like Ursary, you can just make him work in whatever, but you probably would change some of the ways that you approach things from an offensive line standpoint. You probably would not bring back Ed Ingram. You probably would not bring back Titus Howard because Howard did not like the zone scheme. He's been very vocal about that. You probably would make a different decision at right tackle than bringing back Trent Brown. So, yeah, there's definitely some things that you would need to adjust and change if you went to Mike McDaniel. But if it made the quarterback and the offense better, you'd probably be willing to make some of those changes, and maybe you'd live with it. Mike says, keep them both. System will open up more once CJ has mastered this part. It'll be Pat's Ram love child offense. I like Mike's optimism. Dyson, it's clear Caley offense doesn't fit CJ. Curious how that will be addressed regardless of the playoff results. Well, if you win the whole damn thing, you go ahead and you don't care about it. But obviously you lose the first one. There's some massive changes needed. Mike's book reviews. If Lawrence and Tua got paid, CJ will get paid. I think this is a pointless argument. Mulligetta will get his bag. Correct, but think about the desperation spot that those franchises were in. Not to say the Texans aren't in a super similar situation, but I do not believe DeMeco Ryans would tether himself to a quarterback that he doesn't believe in. And you don't have to pay him. And if CJ's going to get mad about not getting paid after 3 years, maybe he's not the right guy. Does Mike McDaniel get head coach looks elsewhere? I would think that Tennessee would interview him. That is certainly a possibility, Patrick. I think Tennessee would interview him. I don't believe that the Giants would interview him. I would think the Cardinals might interview him. Him with Kyler Murray feels like a spot that might work. If they wanted to keep going with Kyler. That's why bad teams stay bad. You can't just pay a guy because other teams paid their guys. Certainly. Engineer, or Golden Scholar as he's called now. Get him here now. Sure. Nerd Rage. Trade CJ for number 2, 1 picks, roll with Mills next year and get a stud O-lineman in the draft this year. Find your QB in the future the following year. No. Hell no. I don't like this at all. I'm out on this idea. Nick Caserio ain't firing Caley. Not Nick Caserio's decision to make. It's DeMeco Ryans' decision to make. He is the ultimate arbiter over football. Engineer really wants him. Almost feels like it would take 7 throwing Caley under the bus for them to fire him after a 12-win season, even if that was mostly because of the defense. Again, you'd have to have a bad performance Monday night and CJ Stroud go to the head coach and the decision makers and say, I can't do it with him. And then you'd have to, again, I don't want the Texans to enter into, I don't know who the OC is, and I fired Nick Caley and I'm just going to pick from a variety of candidates. I don't want the Texans to do that. I want the Texans to, if they're going to move on from Nick Caley, have something already in the bag. Have it decided. Know that Mike McDaniel is coming. Because it would be a foolish endeavor to move on from Nick Caley and not have something in the bag. It's one thing to, hey, Bobby Slogan into 2 years. Oh, let's go have a search. Let's talk to guys. But to fire Nick Caley and not have something in the bag when the reason for firing is tedious, maybe at best, I think that would be tough. So if you're going to fire Nick Caley, I want you to have something in the bag, be it Mike McDaniel or whoever. Cliff Kingsbury. Are you keeping Caley even if they win the bowl, but offense is eh? Yeah, of course. If they win the Super Bowl, why would you make any changes? See what happened to the damn Astros the other year? Won the World Series, got rid of their general manager, went in the tank. It's different, but the same. We said they should have gotten Kubiak. Well, the tough part about Kubiak was he got hired a day after Bobby Slowick got fired. So by virtue of the Texans playing in the playoffs as long as they did last year and the hiring cycle, Clint Kubiak couldn't wait around for that job. Clint Kubiak had to take a job. He didn't know he was going to get the Texans job if he interviewed for it. He was going to get the Seattle job. He had to take it. Think it'd be bum team to fire Caley for a year of McDaniel just to need an OC again. I would think that McDaniel would be pretty intrigued about a 2-year stay, regardless what happens, just continuing to learn. And maybe DeMeco Ryans could get that out of his friend if they decided to go that way. Hey, we're going to fire Nick Caley. We're going to hire you. Will you stay for 2 years no matter what? With the exception of an extenuating circumstance popping up. And I would think McDaniel might be able to say yes to that. Yeah, I think they need to change out some players, certainly. Good to see you, my friend. HDAV Travelers in the building. Tennessee should be trying to hire everybody or interview everybody. Yeah, they should interview everyone. McDaniel in New York. Dart, Neighbors, Scadaboo, Theo Johnson. Yeah. McDaniel in New York would be pretty sweet. Would be pretty sweet. I would assume he'd be there with Harbaugh. Maybe Harbaugh handing the offense to him sure would be interesting. Tennessee should hire Jason Garrett to get him off my damn television every weekend. McDaniel, in my opinion, did everything he could to help Tua get better. Tua just didn't take it. And Tua was bad, man. Tua was bad there, and they want to move off from Tua too. They said they need an organizational reset in Miami. McDaniel did win me over with his conference where he said, today's a fantastic day because we're a day closer to death. Yeah, the press conferences would go crazy with Mike McDaniel. The press conferences would go crazy. All right, a couple things I want to talk about. Obviously, Spankies this Friday. Do not miss out on Spankies. We'll get back to the Mike McDaniel conversation here in just a second. Spankies, 7118 Bel Air Boulevard. Arrive at 3, live at 4, maybe arriving a little bit later than 3, but we'll be live at 4 o'clock, getting you ready for this playoff game. It's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a blast at Spankies, so do not miss it. This Friday, January 9th. Next week, we will be at BB's Texas Orleans in Kingwood. With or without a playoff game to talk about, we'll be out there so we can all commiserate and bitch and whine and moan and complain all together next week if they don't have a playoff game. But I got a hunch they're going to have a playoff game to be previewing at BB's Texas Orleans. Tyler Dunn is a fantastic writer. He writes on the Substack called Go Long. And Dunn did a deep dive into the Houston Texans defense called Outlaws. I encourage you to read Tyler's work. Part 1 and 2 are up. I have the link to part 1 in the description down below. Tyler is a very good friend. He's an excellent writer. I feel like he's the gold standard or he's one of the gold standards for long form sports writing right now. And he does a great deep dive on the defense in a variety of different ways and some good stuff about Azeez Al-Shire in part 2. So the link to part 1 to Outlaws is in the description down below. So check that out. Okay. We'll get back to Mike McDaniel in a second. Tomorrow, I will tell you how you can win this PSA 9 CJ Stroud rookie card from my friends at One Stop Card Shop. One Stop Card Shop does a fantastic job giving you the best card stuff around. And they've got some great events coming up. Friday night, Kids Night Out, Kids Trade Day on Saturday. But tomorrow, I will tell you how you can win this CJ Stroud PSA 9 rookie card. Graded PSA 9 CJ Stroud rookie card. I'll tell you how to win it tomorrow. It will probably involve One Stop Card Shop social media channels, so make sure you go check them out. Okay. Back to the Mike McDaniel conversation. Truth with ES. How do you feel about Monday's game? I feel very good about Monday's game. I do not believe the Pittsburgh Steelers are a dangerous team from an offensive standpoint. And you look at some of the games that they have lost recently. They lost to the Browns because they just were so afraid, deathly afraid of Myles Garrett in that game and could not get anything going. Their previous loss after that, they scored 7 points against the Buffalo Bills. Did not look good in that game. And their previous loss to that, they went 31-28 and lost to the Bears. So pretty good scoring output from them there, but you're not scoring 28 points against the Houston Texans. So I feel pretty good. I do worry a little bit about the Texans offense scoring enough and relying too much on Kaimi Fairbairn from that standpoint, but I feel pretty good about the game on Monday. I am not super worried about the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that is who I wanted the Texans to play in the first round. That was my preferred opponent. Obviously, that came with going on the road. Being at home would have been better, but as far as if you could pick any of the opponents to play, like you call out the guy you're going to play, everybody would call out Pittsburgh first. You guys should sneak into McDaniel's DMs. I got a hunch he's probably not reading those. If CJ gets Kaylee fired for the guy he wants, then you pay CJ. Yeah, if you do give him, without explicitly saying or with saying it, the power to kind of have a heavy say in the OC situation, then yeah, it gets a little dicey on it. We're not going to pay you, but you can help decide if the OC stays or not. I don't know if CJ's the guy. All these other young QBs coming in better than him, having better seasons, and you still have to deal with older guys like Patrick, Lamar, Josh, Joe. Shaking my head, don't look good. Certainly. Yeah, certainly. I mean, there's a tough situation in the evaluation of CJ Stroud because he's not near some of these top guys in the AFC right now. And it takes a little bit of projection. And how do you project it? Can you see it happening? Now, if he shows it in the next 3-4 games, it becomes a lot easier. Getting to the AFC Championship game or Super Bowl would be great, but I don't think D'Amico would be satisfied with winning ugly every game. He'd want a super defense to go along with a super offense. Yeah, I mean, everybody would love that. I would think D'Amico Ryans would be totally fine going to a Super Bowl, regardless of how it looks. If I'm a good coach, I'd go to Atlanta. A lot of good talent. Now they have a few pass rushers on defense, too. Atlanta's a freaking disaster. They have a $100 million contract with Kirk Cousins. They spent the 9th overall pick on Michael Penix. They have no route to getting a star quarterback or a good quarterback even. Atlanta's a disaster. It's far and away one of the worst jobs available. Far and away. I just know and have a feeling he's the type of guy CJ needs. I'm assuming John McClain's Chains is talking about Mike McDaniel. CJ could lead us to a Super Bowl this season, meaning he'll have 3 seasons with 10 wins or more and a 6-2 playoff record. People will still say, I don't think CJ is the guy or it's our defense. Crazy, yo. He takes you to the Super Bowl, run it back with him again next year. I don't give a damn how much you pay him. You win a Super Bowl, pay him. I mean, obviously there's the extenuating circumstances. The defense is just awesome for 4 straight games, but I'd have a hard time seeing them winning the Super Bowl with just the defense being awesome. Not Jack Easterby. I could see McDaniel sneaking in a vape pen on the Texans sideline. Yeah, he did do that one time in Miami, didn't he? Sideline black market, dealing vapes and smelling salts. Four wins, 3 wins, and CJ's given us 10 wins, 12 wins, not to mention was one of the youngest quarterbacks in the league. Give him time to grow. CJ's plenty good enough to win it all. Throwbin Spoke has spoken. He's just not top 5. No, he's not. No, he's not. All right, so the McDaniel conversation has been an intriguing one. Would you make the move? Do you make the move? Right now, I would say, in fact, let me go. Let's see if I can do this on the fly here. I'll put a poll in the chat. About would you fire Nick Caley for Mike McDaniel? Well, let's just see what the folks say here in the next few minutes. All right, bear with me as I produce on the fly. All right, start a poll. Would you fire Nick Caley or Mike McDaniel? Let's see. And start the poll. All right, so the poll is in there. You can vote. Would you fire Nick Caley for Mike McDaniel at OC? This is without knowing. I want you to answer now. I don't want you to have a caveat. I don't want you to say, well, if this, that. I want you to answer now. How do you feel right now today? Would you do it? Would you do it right now today? I would not. I would not. Right now today, I would not. But would you do it? I certainly think a lot of people are going to answer yes. But again, I want you to answer in the context of right this moment, not I got to see what happens Monday. Oh, let's see what the playoff push is. Da, da, da. Right now, would you do it? Would you fire Caleb McDaniel? I do feel like a lot of people see again. You don't. No, I need you to answer now, right now. You got to make the decision. Got to make the decision now. Hey, no, wait till Monday. So, answer that. All right, let's talk a little bit of the Steelers team. I do not believe they're going to score a lot of points. I do not believe the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to score a lot of points against the Houston Texans. And my evidence is Aaron Rodgers, okay? But not just Aaron Rodgers and who they throw the football to. Now, I know they're going to get DK Metcalf back. But outside of DK Metcalf, that's not the most impressive pass-catching group. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Adam Thielen, Calvin Austin III. They throw the ball to Kenneth Gainwell and the running back spot a lot. And I think back to that Chargers game, trying to throw the ball to Marion Hampton was a disaster for the Chargers. The Texans sniffed that out. They had Azeez Al-Shire and Henry To'oTo'o and all the defensive linemen ready for a lot of that. So a lot of this short passing game, and the Pittsburgh Steelers love the short passing game, it plays pretty well into the Houston Texans style of defense. Yes, there's little spots and holes and gaps where you can get the ball to a guy in space, but the Texans, for a majority of the season, hiccups here and there, have tackled really well and made those teams live and die on third downs, on third and mediums, third and shorts, and the Texans have had a lot of success in those situations against teams and forced punts. I feel like this is going to be a field position type of game with Pittsburgh early on, where the Texans are kind of feeling it out, seeing what they can get going on offense, and Pittsburgh, the more you bury them deep, the less and less likely it is they're going to score. Aaron Rodgers is not putting together a 10-play drive against this Houston Texans defense. Aaron Rodgers is not going to hit a huge 60, 70-yard play more than maybe once in this game, and even then, probably not then. I don't know that he's hitting a giant play unless the Texans make a huge mistake. So I just don't believe the Steelers are scoring a whole lot of points in this game. And you look at their output here throughout the course of the past few games. Yeah, they put 26 on Baltimore, but they put 6 up against the Cleveland Browns, 24 against the Lions. That's not a super impressive defense, but they put 29 against the Lions. Not a super impressive defense. The Lions defense kind of, They put 28 against the Dolphins. They beat the Ravens again earlier in the season, 27, but 7 points against the Bills. Like, they've had some really kind of stinker moments out of their offense. And I realize that, they put up some points in losses, but this is not an offense that's going to put up a lot of points. It's not an offense that's going to put up a lot of points. So that adds to the importance of your offensive drives, but it also adds to playing the field position game and not trying to do too much. Hey, you get to the 50. Okay, you want to maybe think about a long field goal? Now just punt it because bury them deep. They're not moving 80 yards to score touchdowns on you. Yeah, they might get a 3 here or there because Rodgers can gimmick it together for 6 or 7 plays and get them into field goal range, but they're not consistently running the football or moving the football down the field on this Texans defense to score points. So that's my overarching thing about the Steelers defense right now is they do not, or see the Steelers offense, excuse me, they do not appear to be a team that's going to score a lot of points. They do not appear to be a team that's going to score a lot of points. And I don't believe that's going to change for me until by Monday. Truth of the yes. If we lose, it'll be because CJ got in his own way. That's certainly a way to go about it. I do believe that the offense wetting the bed is the only way the Texans lose on Monday. I do believe that's the only way they're going to lose on Monday is if the offense wet the bed. So the poll is at 79%. 78% now. 78% of people in the chat right now would, right now, without knowing what happens Monday, fire Nick Caley for Mike McDaniel. We'll go ahead and end the poll. I gave you folks the chance to get in there. 78% yes, 22% no. Right now, would fire right now with a little bit of it. Let's just say 70%. 70% would fire Nick Caley right now without knowing what happens Monday and hire Mike McDaniel. I knew Nick Caley was unpopular. I didn't know he's that unpopular. It's going to be tough retaining all the young defensive talent. Yeah, bridge I'll cross when I get there if I'm the Texans. You don't want to worry too much about it. Can't control it right now. Cebu says Caley's been all right since midseason. There's been some good moments. Still not as good as we would have hoped it to be. Mike McDaniel would save CJ and this offense. Chapo, Cody's it true the Ravens requested an interview with Caley? I have not seen that. Cody, if you have access to whoever voted no to that poll, ban them. We don't need Stroud to be top 5 this season or probably even next season when a Super Bowl. We need Stroud to not turn the ball over, make plays when plays are needed. D'Amico is from San Fran and Philly. Yeah, they did not ask as much of the quarterback if the defense is playing as well as it is. Yeah, don't mess it up. Yeah, don't mess it up is a good way to look at it. Truth with S, 6690. I'd rather pay Will than CJ. Well, you don't have to make a decision. You can pay them both. Will's absolutely getting paid, and he's going to get a tremendous amount of money. You don't have to pay them both. I mean, you don't have to decide about paying either of them. You can pay them both. Hey, Cody, can you do an offensive line chart update? I'll know more today after practice because if Trent Brown's back and they put him back out there, then it's Titus back at left guard and it's the usual offensive line, and we'll do the check mark game. You'll see it then. But Trent Brown being back and back out there. That'll be before I do any chart updates. If anything, CJ has shown to help when the team is playing bad. He's never the reason the game was lost. Okay, I don't know if I totally agree with that. He's definitely fed into some of the poor offensive performances. Kayla needs another year. And then Not Jack Easterby says, McDaniel gets here. Vape shop sales near Kirby and 610 about to skyrocket. JB Allen's wife has a crush on McDaniel, and so he voted to say, yes, hire him. 78% would rather see 4 days of McDaniel putting in an offense than what we've seen all year. Big risk. Certainly is a big one. Time's practice today, 12:45. Got to pay CJ, can't go back to having no quarterback. Well, that's the thing is you don't have to pay him and you still have him as the quarterback. Cody, would you give an example of a team that didn't pay them both and was successful, please? I don't know that anybody's ever been in the exact situation the Texans are in. Had one of the best defensive linemen in football and then had a quarterback that they had to pay that were from the same draft class. Like, I don't think that's happened. But you look around and, I mean, teams spend a tremendous amount of money on defense and their quarterbacks. Philadelphia is probably my biggest example. Like, you can do both. You can do both if you need to. High, very high. What are the chances to win the Texans' chances to win on Monday night? Very high. Very high. Is Fatukasi still on the team? He's on IR. They gave his number away. He's not playing again. Engineer asks, are we being too hard on CJ? What other core QBs are consistent in the league? Baker fell off. Love fell off. Darnold is a JSN merchant. May had an easy schedule. Josh Allen's had some rough stretches. Yeah, certainly. I think because you haven't seen high-level CJ on a super consistent basis for a large stretch of the season, that's where a lot of people kind of go into the worry about CJ. Didn't Rams pay Aaron and Stafford? Yeah, I mean, look, if you're talking about just having two giant contracts on your team, it's easy to do. You can do it. That's why I said you don't have to pick between Will or CJ. You can pay them both. Anyone think CJ would retaliate and play worse if he doesn't get paid? I mean, well, that doesn't help you to eventually get paid. I would say there's a chance if the Texans played hardball with Stroud, he'd maybe want out. Hey, yeah, you stuck me with this offensive coordinator I didn't really like, this offense I don't really like. I couldn't showcase what I wanted to do or what I'm capable of. So, yeah, just go ahead and send me somewhere else. I do believe that there would be a big conversation from his camp about, do you want to be here long term? Somebody else will pay you. Yeah, I mean, if the offense looks bad Monday, I do believe that there's a chance they move on from the offensive coordinator. JT, Cody, good morning, brother. Just want to say thank you again for the CJ rookie card. Keep up the good work. God bless. Congrats on winning it. Someone's going to win this CJ rookie card here this week. I'll tell you how tomorrow. All right. I think that'll do it for the show today. Reminders. Check out my friend Tyler Dunn at on Substack on Go Long. Great read about the Houston Texans defense. You're going to want to be following One Stop Card Shop TX in a variety of ways so you can maybe win this CJ Stroud rookie card. And then I thought this was a fun little thing we can end on. The Peach Bowl 2-foot dueling brisket sandwich. So the Peach Bowl has a brisket sandwich that is 2 feet long. 1 foot is an Indiana sandwich. 1 foot is an Oregon sandwich. And Indiana's half is a tender brisket piled high and topped with coleslaw, pickled onions, finished with a cherry bourbon barbecue sauce. Oregon's half is brisket piled high, paired with crisp pickles, finished with a decadent brown sugar barbecue sauce. I think I lean more towards Indiana's half. I saw this and I just had to bring this to the people. And it's only $35. I feel like $35 for 2 feet of brisket sandwich is a damn good deal. I hope I see someone eating this on social media. This looks fantastic. Speaking of fantastic eating, don't forget Spanky's this Friday. We will see you there live at 4. And a super chat from Dyson here at the end to wrap it all up. Thank you, Cody, for all you do. Really appreciate your perspective on the Texans. H's up. Dyson, appreciate you for the super chat. Appreciate everybody in the chat today. The likes, the subscribes, the memberships, obviously, are very appreciated. The super chats are appreciated. This is going to be a huge year covering the Texans. They got a playoff run to start it. Who knows where that ends? It could end in San Francisco. It very well could end in San Francisco. And if it does, we'll be there covering it. We'll be talking Texans football a ton on the channels if they go to San Francisco. We'll be talking Texans football a ton on the channels if they end their season in Pittsburgh on Monday night, which I don't think is likely. Okay, 2026 is going to be huge. We got some fun stuff planned. We got some great stuff ahead of us, and I appreciate everybody for being along for the ride. Hope your new year is off to a fantastic start as well. So, we end the live streams the same way each and every time. This is my hope for you. This is my charge for you as well. I want you to eat good. I want you to sleep good. I want you to be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hip-hoppity, dip-doppity-doo.